pilots and flight crews encounter turbulence, they make changes to their flight plan. When video producers make changes to content, it's called editing. In this section of the course, we'll introduce you to editing by focusing on the most common techniques. This will help you avoid any bumpy outcomes from your video production. Let's begin our session on editing with our script from the extracted practice files. We will record the script as we present slides on the screen to simulate a live recorded session. Notice that the sequence of slides requires us to do some editing after the recording to put the sections in order and to remove unwanted content. Open Camtasia and save the file as Edit Video Practice. Then start the recording. Edit Video, Title, Section 2, Delete, Section 3, Delete, Section 1. Stop the recording and save the Camtasia recording file as Edit Video Practice as well. Notice that the recording file is much larger than the project file, since the project file just links to external content. Inside Camtasia, we can see the Camtasia recording file that we also have in the timeline. And if we scrub along the timeline, we can see the sequence that we recorded. Let's queue up to the front here, and we'll trim the front end a little bit. We can also remove the audio that is from the system audio, which we did not use. I'll just hit select and delete, drag this toward the front, and then let's begin our editing. Our first objective is to move section 1 up to the front, and I'm moving to the end of section 1. That should be enough content there. I'm going to use the split tool and remove the extended content from the back end. And now we'll scrub along the timeline to where section 1 begins, right after the delete. Select a point there and use the split tool again to grab that, and we'll move this up a layer and over to the left. You can use multiple layers to move content around if that helps in the sequencing. Just notice we've got the title, the opening title, so we can use the split tool as well. Actually put the title ahead of section 1 to begin where we want the edit point, using the zoom tool to get a little bit closer view of the content, a little more precise in where we're making some of these edits. I'm going to scrub along the timeline, so I go from section 2 to a delete section and then to section 3. So rather than do some split tool edits, I'm going to take a little bit different approach here. I'm going to put the marker at the end of section 2, and then I'm going to drag the right hand red marker along to the right and to the point where the section 3 begins. So now I've got a section that I want to delete that's included here, and I can use the cut tool to remove that content. And in this case, it has created a splice between section 2 and section 3. So I now have those in order. Got that moved in the timeline, so we go from section 2, section 1, section 2, section 3, and then I've got a little bit of extraneous content on the end. And so I don't need to splice it, I'll just drag the end in and we'll finish our content at section 3. I want to show you something. If we drag this right end out, just put the timeline marker where we had it. As I drag this right end out, notice that I have access to all of the previous content. Remember, we created a splice point and moved section 1 up to the front. But notice that section 1 still exists here. That's because the editing that we're doing in Camtasia is non-destructive. We're not actually editing the physical content, the original content. We're just referring to sections of the content. And so any of the edits that we're making here in the timeline are referring to the original content, but not actually deleting them or affecting them. Now that we have our content adjusted and in order, we can scrub along the timeline to see if the items are in order, and then rendering out the edited content to video can now be done using the Produce options. We'll select the video file size and indicate the name and location for the recorded video as Edit Video Practice to be consistent. Here's what our finished video looks like. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to video editing with Camtasia.